today. I know that a lot of people have been sitting there very quietly, but I thought that because this is a gathering of people from around Australia and even maybe some from overseas, we might just take a few seconds just to say hello to someone beside you or in front of you, introduce yourself and ask them where they're from. Are they from Canberra? Are they from outside Canberra? When did they arrive? So let's have just 1 minute, just a quick mingle around the room, just to say hi to a few people, and then we'll start our formalities this morning. And of course, our front row is reserved for our high commissions and diplomatic missions. But you're welcome to come sit closer to the front. If you're at the back as well, we want you to be comfortable for today's proceedings.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm from the British High Commission.
How are you?
Good. Are you from Australia? Yeah. I love it. Just make it love it. Like British. Yeah.
So now you've made a friend and that you've introduced yourself to your neighbour in front of you or beside you, we're going to commence this morning's proceedings. I do apologise for the late commencement of our program, but it's just to allow a little bit more time for people to find the venue, find a park, and to make their way into the auditorium. Tapumoe o tua mafi o kua taurotolotonga. O kua ana e gloria o e whakawhetau ki tawa usia mai e aho whakawhofa koe. Tapo e na a whiwhio ki tupo wono o kuini na nasi pau tuku aho. Tapo e pelenisi ka launi tupo toa ulu ka lau o whare alo. Tapo e tumuaki o kainga Tonga, o konnini tini, kahiri princesi, Angelica Latupuepeka tuku aho. Whakatapu ki ka kai tu whanua o kerekele o matauro nuku ai he ahoni, ai matakali, nganowao, mohanau kau tuki mua o e kuhiri, lolotonga, o e kahau. Whakatapu ki he talawhekaulahi leo a Tonga ki Australia, Curtis Tui Halingengie. Whakatapu ki e taki o e kautaha o e ngahi ofisi whakatawa whekaulahi a Pasifiki i Kenipelani, Hinauri Petana, ka koe hai komisiono o Haamoa ki Australia. Pe whoki ki e taki kuia o e hawe a kau hai komisiono katoa pe o mo mea mai i he pongpongini. Whakatapu ki a Louise Waterhouse ko e konsela whakalangilangi o Tonga ki Australia. Whakatapu ki a Jason Stott, ko lua ki toni sekretari o Pacific Labour Operations me botu ngawe e purianga Australia. Whakatapu ki a Rachel Jolly, ko toni sekretari o Pacific Labour Mobility me botu ngawe ki muri e purianga Australia. Whakatapu ki a whaiwheka o pule whakawahe whanua o e siansi wesiana tau taina o Tonga i Australia, Reverend Siosifa Kolotima. E whakatapu, o kau whakatonga kotoa pe, purianga Australia, ngahi kautaha, ngahi businessi, e tau community Tonga, o ngahi kupu whikau aki kotoa pe e polokama ngā oe koia ai Palm i he konnini. Kai talangata i atiao o whaiki tu o mama, kai ata mo oku Lave Iloa ola ke whaiwhatongia ma motolo i a ahoni. O ku mautare tale le ki motolo kotoa i he wafo tau eiki ko siso kalaisi, ke fuafua whakataha, pe kone vesi o whoki, ke whakailonga i aki, mo hake aki, a ngahi ngāui lava mea, mo ngahi ngāui lelei a Tonga, mo Australia, i e whunga, o e prokalama tori fue a kau ai whonuani. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I would first like to give glory and praise to our Heavenly Father for his gift of this historic day here in the nation's capital. I especially acknowledge our beloved Princess of our Tongan people here in Australia, Her Royal Highness Princess Angelica Lave, who will be joining us a little bit later on this morning. For those of you here in Canberra and those of you from outside Canberra, we are gathered here today on Ngunnawal country. Taura Guna, Taura Ngunnawal. Iango Ngarawiri, Tony Manyan, Ngunnawal Wari, Taura Wari. We acknowledge the Ngunnawal people as the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today. We acknowledge and pay respect to their continuing connection to land, to water, to community, and we pay our respects to their elders of the Ngunnawal nation, both past, present, and emerging. I'd like to acknowledge the Acting High Commissioner of the Kingdom of Tonga to the Commonwealth of Australia, Mr. Curtis Tui Haringengie. Also like to acknowledge Her Excellency Henare Patana, who is the Dean of the Pacific Heads of Mission and also the High Commissioner of Samoa to Australia. Also like to acknowledge all of our High Commissioners and Heads of Mission that we have with us here today. I'd like to also acknowledge Mrs. Louise Waterhouse, who is our Consul General of the Kingdom of Tonga from Sydney in New South Wales. I acknowledge Jason Stott, the First Assistant Secretary of the Pacific Labour Operations of the Department of Workplace Relations, or JUA. I also acknowledge Rachel Jolly, who is the Assistant Secretary of the Pacific Labour Mobility Branch of the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT. I also acknowledge the Minister Superintendent of the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga here in Australia, Reverend Siosifa Kolotimaka. A warm welcome to all delegates to here today, approved employers, palm workers, and everyone who's played a role in the palm program. A warm maloilele and warm Pacific greetings. My name is Lave, Iloa, and I'm hugely honoured to be your Master of Ceremonies here today at Australian National University. I extend a warm welcome to you all. Your presence here today signifies and amplifies the importance of diplomacy and international collaboration, and we are honoured to have you participate in today's event, the Tonga High Commission Palm Scheme Workshop from a Tongan perspective. Shortly I will go through the house rules, but before that it's important that we give over today's proceedings in a word of prayer, and I'd like to invite Reverend Alimoni Tawepiao, if he would kindly make his way to the front to commit today's proceedings in a word of prayer. Whakamari koini, whakawhiri mai a whewhikau Alimoni Tawepiao, ki kātaki pēo lava mai o whakahoko e tau lotu kamata pia tau toki hoku atu. Mahalo.
Good morning. May I use the acknowledgement noted by Lave Loyola, our MC for this morning. And please allow me to lead us in a devotion. I'd like to ask Senewaka to please start a hymn for us in 114 of the Tongan hymn, verses 1 and 6, to lead us in our prayer. from Matthew chapter 22, verses 36 to 39. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your hearts and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Applying this passage to the Pacific Australia Labour Mobility Scheme requires a holistic approach. Firstly, a call to loving God with all. This suggests that PALM should prioritize the dignity and rights of workers from Pacific Islands. For Pacific men and women, relationship with God is first and foremost. To assist our workers at best to adjust to working in Australian environment must have a spiritual dimension. What I mean, the process and program reach the whole person. Only through this understanding can we ensure the well-being of workers through the PALM scheme's process. From the pre-departure programs to welcoming and orientation, the living and working experiences, the personal development and community connections, and then reintegration back to the islands. The deeds should advocate for such a call to be our practices. Secondly, a call to loving one's neighbor. This implies fostering relationship with all those around you, including the whole community. A holistic PALM scheme approach should encourage healthy relationships and collaboration between workers and employers, local communities, NGOs, service providers, and even governments. This can lead to better integration of Pacific Island workers and support systems that help them adjust and thrive in their new community and environment they now call home for however long they are here. And lastly, a call to loving oneself. Personal well-being or healthy personality. Living a healthy lifestyle is a personal choice. We stakeholders cannot make these choices for our Pacific workers. Providing a healthy environment where individuals can make good choices for their own well-being is paramount. You and I are here to carve out how we provide that safe and life-giving environment to our workers. May our deliberation today allows us to fulfill God's call on our life, but also on our Pacific Islanders' life. Let us pray. E o toa, ko mau tamai alo ofa ai a Fiona. Ko ho whinangalo ke mau hokosi a ho a Fiona. I he ofa ke mau kaunga a bi, o hange ke mau ofa ke ring mau. Loving God, we thank you for the opportunity to build life and healthy wealth through the labour mobility scheme between Australia and the Pacific. As we gather to reflect, learn and collaborate to help our workers be at their best in showing how their love for you reflects in their love for their families, employers, communities, and themselves. Bless our deliberation today. In the name of God our Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Alimoni Tawapiao, blessing us this morning in an opening prayer. I'd just like to quickly go through the house rules this morning. First and foremost, this is a non-smoking venue. There are designated, I think the whole university might be a non-smoking venue, but just keep that in mind. Secondly, the restrooms. So the restrooms are located on the lower floor, the floor I'm standing on. You can access the male and female restrooms by either going on either side of the chairs or the auditorium. There's an aisle on either side that takes you to the bathrooms. If you're at the back, alternatively, the entrance you came in, turn left and catch the lift down. So it's the same restrooms, but you can either access it via the lift from the second floor or on this floor here. In terms of food and drink, we'd ask that any drinks you bring in have got a lid on it, like bottles of water, coffee with the cap on top is fine, but we do ask that you refrain from eating here in the auditorium. There will be breaks throughout today's program, a morning tea break and a lunch break, and that will be served to you upstairs in the foyer. Another important note this morning is that we want to ensure that our decorum of our program is maintained throughout today. There'll be a lot of speakers, a lot of presentations and videos and so on. You may not agree with some of the things you hear today. We just ask that you respect the speakers and their perspectives and their opinions that they share. Now, there will be a couple of Q&A sessions throughout the day, and again, if you have a particular question, just ensure that we frame our questions in a respectful way to our presenters. They might be a bit nervous as well being out here in the front, and we just want to ensure that we maintain a really flourishing and respectful and inclusive program today. But we're looking forward to it, so if you've got some burning questions, you will have some opportunities to ask them throughout the day. But at this point and juncture in the program, I'd like to invite the Acting High Commissioner of the Kingdom of Tonga to Australia, Curtis Kuihara, if he would kindly make his way to the front to conduct his welcoming address, but also provide an overview of the purpose of today's workshop and reception. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for the Acting High Commissioner of the Kingdom of Tonga.
And a very good morning to your Excellencies, colleagues, friends, and all our VIP guests. You are all VIP. Then Hong, before I start, can I ask you to take a photo from this view, please? It's beautiful, it's amazing. I have the best view here. So we need to capture this beautiful view. I think ANU will be grateful for these photos. Good. The more you take, the more I charge you. Your presence here today is not only appreciated, but also essential. I acknowledge and thanks our amazing MC, Lave, Iloa, for starting our workshop with traditional and cultural acknowledgement. All protocol is in order. I'd like to welcome you all to our workshop today and express my gratitude to everyone who is here with us. The Pacific Australia Labour Mobility PALM scheme has made a significant contribution to Tonga's economy through remittances and economic development. It provides employment, opportunities, boosts incomes, supports basic consumption, benefiting not only Tonga, but also Australia's economy, businesses, and development. Since 2012, Tonga has actively participated in the Seasonal Worker Program and later PALM scheme. We recognize the progress made under these initiatives. My government has entrusted me with the responsibility of conducting these events today, especially considering the criticisms the scheme has faced. Unfortunately, the successes and benefits of PALM scheme are often overlooked. Therefore, today's events will focus on exchanging and sharing success stories and benefits, and the benefits of Palm Scheme, featuring contributions from approved employers, host employers, employees, the community, government agencies, and all relevant stakeholders involved in the Palm Scheme. Every success comes with gaps and challenges. These challenges should not be seen as roadblocks, but rather a stepping stone for the growth and improvement. Identifying these challenges is crucial for us stakeholders to collaborate and find a solution moving forward. It takes a village to raise a child. In this context, Palm Scheme is that child. And we are the village gathered here today, all of you. We are fortunate to have you all with us, so that as a village, we can create a strong partnership and ensure a positive outcome for Palm Scheme. None of us want a wild and disengaged child. Thus, your participation today is vital for us to celebrate success and work together to address any challenges we may identify, solutions, and a way forward. We are grateful to the Australian National University for this magnificent venue and providing several students from Tonga and the Pacific to assist us with an academic outcome document for this workshop, which will assist us in navigating our way forward. There's a Tongan saying, "For fola e fala, ka ta'alanga e kainga," which means rolling out the mat, not Her Royal Highness mat, that's a special mat. Rolling out the mat so the family can engage in dialogue. This dialogue is extended to be conducted in a respectful manner, with issues resolved the Tongan way. And if you don't know that way, let me tell you, it's either my way or the highway. I understand that some of you may be excited to share your thoughts, and I'm confident that our discussion will remain respectful. This is a diplomatic event, and each of us is invited to speak, discuss, and behave respectfully as we roll out the mat for our Palm workshop today. I wish you all the best. May this workshop serve as a platform that empowers all relevant stakeholders to contribute to the success of the Palm Scheme. Malo abito.
Thank you, Acting High Commissioner Mr. Curtis Tui Harangingie, who represents the Government of the Kingdom of Tonga here in Australia and also leads an amazing team of staff at the Tonga High Commission here in Canberra. Can we put our hands together one more time for our Acting High Commissioner Curtis Tui Harangingie. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure now to introduce our next speaker this morning. He is Reverend Sele Vaka. Some of you already know him. He is the Tongan Palm Country Liaison Officer. But a few things you may not know about him. One is that he was actually, once upon a time, a seasonal worker here in Australia, picking fruits and participating in the agricultural industry. Not only that, but he was the first Pacific Islander and the first Tongan to be a country liaison officer. He also has decades of long vocational experience bridging faith, service, and cultural diplomacy. Born and raised in the Kingdom of Tonga, he's also an ordained minister. Reverend Vaka has spent more than 2 decades guiding communities across the Pacific and Australia, helping organisations work respectfully with Tongan people, home and abroad. Today, he invites us to step inside the Vaka, the traditional Tongan canoe of cultural understanding, steering us through the Kawe Kola e Wha, which is the 4 golden pillars that uphold every aspect of our Tongan society. Today, Solewaka, and the purpose of this presentation is to help employers to engage effectively with Tongan workers in Australia and engage appropriately and strengthen relationships with Tongan workers. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for Reverend Solewaka.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to ask that MC can use the acknowledgement that he started with this morning, and let me the opportunity to present what I have prepared today. And thank you for the introductions about myself. As he mentions, I'm the longest CLO for the program, and also the first CLO in the program. I met someone this morning, and she saw the patch on my shirt, and it says it is the seasonal worker program. It was the beginning. It was named as seasonal worker program, which is SWP, before it's become the PARP scheme. And I said, I think if there was no SWB, there was no PARP. So I just wear this to remind where we came along and where we started. I thought it would be important for us to set a scene on where we should be starting and set us on the same page where then I think along what should be a topic that I would present today. And the only topic that came to my mind is culture, because I think it's very important, because culture is the way that identify ourselves. It's the way that identify how we work and how we do things. And I think it's important for us, especially stakeholders, that we have a taste of the Tongan culture, so that you understand and you appreciate the service that our continent and governments are providing to you. All of us here this morning, I know that majority of us, we are parents. We have kids. Myself, I have married with 5 kids, and all these 5 kids, they have different attitudes. They have different ways of doing things. And for me, parents, I had to make sure that I understand and I able to be good with every one of my children. Otherwise, it will be a headache for me to look after my children. And that specifically idea I wanted to bring to this workshop today, especially for both employers and stakeholders, for us to understand the workers that we are looking after, especially the Tongan. I will only be talking about from the Tongan perspectives. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the 4 golden pillars that underpin Tongan culture. As stakeholders engaged in the Pacific Labour Scheme program, understanding these pillars, which is respect, I'll call it in Tonga, which is whakapapa, humility, which is whakapapa in Tonga, patriotism, mamahi mea, and reciprocation, tongi wā. Not only enhance your interactions with the Tongan workers, but also create a more inclusive and productive workplace. But before we go on to the 4 golden pillars, I just wanted to ask every one of us, and especially stakeholders of the program, the PALM scheme, just wanted to pose the questions. Who are we providing welfare support for? So simple answer is they are farm workers. And in this context of my presentation, they are the farm workers. They are the most vulnerable workers under any work visa scheme in Australia. They have no skills and expertise, no work experience, but some of them they have no working experience, no academic qualifications, majority of them. Also, they miss their families back home, especially when they work. They are hard labor. They also have this culture shock, different environment, and different ways of doing things. So what I wanted to ask us is for us to make sure that we know who are the people that we look after. It's not the most smart people that we look after. It's not the people that we tell them one thing and then they say, no, we have to tell them so many times. So, coming back to the 4 golden pillars that I have just mentioned. Firstly, the respect for Apa, or accept everyone for who they are. Secondly, humility. Reciprocations, and if I remove, use the same pictures, I remove the 4 and put the palm workers in there, and also insert or where the approved employers are. What we wanted is to have the approved employers, or even the stakeholders, to have a feel and level of understandings of our culture, in order for you to communicate and work effectively with our farm workers. First pillar is the Fa'apa or respect. Fa'apa or respect is a cornerstone of the Tongan culture. It is deeply rooted in their social interactions and is especially important when dealing with elders and authority figures. In a workplace context, respect can manifest in many ways. For instance, acknowledging an employee's contributions during team meetings or addressing them by their correct titles reflects the value placed on respect. Consider a scenario where a Tongan employee successfully completes a duty. Rather than simply sending a generic email of thanks, a more culturally sensitive approach would be to publicly acknowledge their efforts in a team meeting. This is not only respect the individual, but also set a precedent for a respectful work culture. When Tongan employees feel respected, their morale boosts, resulting in enhanced productivity and a positive work environment. For an approved employer who respects their workers, will open doors for many opportunities, learn new things, and make better decisions. Not only that, the respect in your relationship with your workers will build feelings of trust, safety, and well-being. Second one is the humility, or rototo in Tonga. Rototo is to emphasize collaborations, community, and mutual support. In Tonga, there is a strong sense of collective responsibility, and this mindset can also benefit your workplace. For example, implementing team-based tasks or collaborative tasks aligns with this culture value. Imagine organizing regular team building activities that encourage employees to work together towards the common goals. Not only does this strengthen the relationship among team members, but it also instills a sense of belonging, which is crucial for Tongan workers. When they see their colleagues supporting one another, it enhances their commitment to the team and the organization. For an employer which has humility towards their workers, will definitely contribute to the workers' jobs satisfactions, and not only that, but to make workers feel more encouraged and empowered. The third pillar is patriotism. Tongan culture is about more than just material giving. It encompasses time, knowledge, and support. This cultural trait can significantly enhance the workplace environment if recognized and encouraged. For instance, consider establishing mentorship activities with your workplace, pairing experienced workers with new workers or less experienced fosters a spirit of generosity, enabling seasonal workers to share their knowledge and skills. This not only benefits the new workers but also reinforces the mentor's sense of purpose and contributions. By creating channels of generosity, you enrich your work culture and promote a supportive atmosphere that resonates with Tongan values. An approved employer with patriotism in the workplace will give the employees a feeling of pride and respect for the values of the company. Also strengthens worker-employer bonds and enhance morale and motivations. You might be aware, you might have known the Tonga, our rugby league team. Tonga means Thai for Tonga. You know, if you exercise patriotism in workplace, our Tongan workers are willing to die for your company. They will work hard and you know. Die is just a metaphor, you know. They will do whatever you want to accomplish your goal. Finally, reciprocations. Reciprocation is deeply ingrained in Tongan culture, representing their commitment to family, community, and employers. As an employer, recognizing this trait is crucial. For example, consider implementing employee development programs that demonstrate your commitment to the growth and future within the company, offering skill development workshops or pathways for career advancement illustrate your investment in the success. When Tongan employees perceive that their employers value reciprocating and are committed to their professional development, they are more likely to reciprocate with dedications and long-term commitments to the organization. An employee with reciprocations at workplace will increase loyalty and job satisfactions, also provide a sense of belonging and collective responsibilities. Will also increase your workers' motivations and happy and more productive workers. In conclusion, understanding and integrating the four golden pillars of Tongan culture in your workplace practices is not just about cultural sensitivity, it is about creating a thriving and productive workforce. By fostering an environment that honors these values, you not only empowering your Tongan employees, but also enhance the overall success of your organizations with these benefits, and enhancing communications and relationships, improving workplace harmony, enhancing employee satisfactions and retentions, promoting diversity and inclusion, strengthening organization reputations, and just to name a few. Let us embrace these insights as we work together through the Pacific Labor Mobility Program, creating workplaces that are not only inclusive, but also prosperous for everyone involved. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Reverend Sarivaka, for the deep dive there into the 4 golden pillars of Tongan society, and I'm sure for any of our non-Tongans who are here today found that quite intriguing and interesting, and probably drew a few connections in terms of your engagement with not only our Tongan community but also with our Tongan palm workers. I have on good information from ANU that there are several unauthorised vehicles parked just outside the entrance up above. Now, I know parking here is limited, but I have it on good authority that the cost of the parking is a lot more cost effective than the cost of the fine that the officers will issue to vehicles parked illegally. So kindly, if you have parked outside there on that nice close car park space just near the door, that is an unauthorised car park for you. Please, if you would kindly move your vehicle. There are parks throughout the university. It may have a little bit of a walk, but it will be a lot more cost effective than the fine that you'll be issued, which is not a very nice gift at the end of the day. Also, when we get to our morning tea session, we do ask that you collect your food from the buffet area, but then step away to the tiled area to network and to consume your morning tea this morning. Now, it's important, there's so many different facets involved in the PALM program, but probably 2 key areas are the PALM approved employers and the PALM workers. So our next session is going to be from our PALM approved employers. We have several of them here today. But to set the mood for this next section, we're going to play a short video on the screen. So I invite you now to draw your attention to our main screen. And we're going to have a video here from the Nolan Needs before we move on to our first speaker from the PALM approved employer experiences segment this morning.
We're a Australian-owned integrated beef operation situated in Gympie in southeast Queensland. We do a bit of beef breeding, a bit of beef backgrounding, a bit of feedlotting, and we process about 2,500 cattle per week.
Nolan Meats is one of Australia's leading and most widely recognised integrated beef operations. From its Gympie location, the company is ideally situated within Queensland's tick line and safely draws supply from Australia's most productive beef-producing areas, including the Mary Valley, South Burnett, Darling Downs, Brisbane Valley, Queensland Central Highlands, and Northern New South Wales districts. Livestock is also sourced within the enterprise, with Nolan Meats Feedlot, together with 3 other custom feedlots producing an annual turnoff of 140,000 head of quality grain-fed cattle. Cattle are individually traceable from birth with electronic tagging devices as part of the National Livestock Identification Scheme, while their health and welfare is regularly monitored by qualified veterinary personnel.
Dad started as a butcher back in February 1958 with a single-person butcher shop. The business has grown to the stage where now we employ about 400 people. We've built the new distribution centre with a view to gearing up in the future. We're currently doing about 550 cattle a day, and we'd like to think that around 2023, 2024, we might be doing 1,100 cattle per day. So the facility is being designed to handle that.
With an emphasis on excellent customer service and innovation, Nolan Meats is committed to satisfying the most specialised market segments, such as delivering the perfect batch for grinding beef into highly specified chemical lead categories. Significant investment in world-leading automated storage and retrieval systems, together with sophisticated X-ray equipment, ensures the consistent selection of the most appropriate mix of product components. Reusable plastic crates have been integrated into the process to remove the need for cardboard usage and its subsequent waste. To maximise international market access and a burgeoning domestic demand, all production is halal certified. The process is underpinned by major government certifiers and Islamic organisations. Organic meats production is also accommodated. Close attention and a whole-of-chain understanding of beef production from breeding to exporting has led Nolan Meats to be acknowledged as a pioneer of the world-leading eating quality system, Meat Standards Australia's Tenderness Guaranteed System, And it's this attitude to business that has also seen the company awarded with many prestigious accolades.
We're a long-standing business, been here for 60 years. We say we're in business to deliver a pleasurable milk payment every time. We want our cattle running quickly, we want our cattle well handled, we appreciate animal welfare, we want our staff looked after, we want our consumers happy, and a pleasurable milk payment to us is anywhere along the chain, from delivering well thought out animal husbandry program right through to making sure the customer gets the correct product they want.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite our first speaker for this section of our program, which is Terry Nolan, the owner of Nolan Meats from Gympie in Queensland. Nolan Meats is a 100% Australian family-owned company founded as a small retail butchery business in Gympie in 1958. Today, Nolan Meats focuses on producing quality grain beef for delivery to retailers, further processors, wholesalers, and international markets. I'm from Queensland, so I have to declare a bias. I think we have one of the best beef in all of the country, and Terry agrees with me. But let's put our hands together now and welcome Terry Nolan for our first presentation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here this morning. And I've got to say, that's throwing me a little. I didn't know that video was going to be played. I was nervous. Now I'm worse. Now I'm all right. It really is an honour to be here today. The palm screen means so much to us, and I just want to take you right back to the history of how it started. Our experience with palm was when I was chair of the National Processors Council of the Australian Industry Council in 2019. I was asked to represent industry on a new Pacific Labour mobility program. The meat industry was keen to engage with modes of accessing suitable people for our industry, which directly employs 191,000 people and indirectly a further 239,000 people, generating approximately $90 billion worth of wealth for Australia. The seasonal worker program, whilst it was fantastic in starting the ball rolling, it didn't reflect the needs of our industry. We wanted to establish meat industry professionals. To do that, we needed training and we needed to invest in time. Leaving just after 5 or 7 months was not ideal in building a career as a meat industry professional. Instruction from the industry that I received was to try and promote or lobby for a 3 to 4 year visa. This in turn helps build career opportunities for meat industries, and the industry now thinks that the 4-year term is ideal, although there are some that want to extend that to a permanent residency for people that are excelling. Our company, Nolan Meats, and I'm not the owner, I'm one of 3 owners, I can't leave my 2 brothers out, but we are a genuine family business. We were hesitant about palm at the start, and we only elected to use a 3-year term, not knowing how it would work. In hindsight, we soon came to realise that we had missed a wonderful opportunity to have some great people in our business for 4 years. Hesitant mainly because it was experimental for us. Different cultures, different language, maybe even different expectations from both parties. We think we prepared well, but with anything new, there is always natural apprehension and cautiousness. We got our Nolan Meats team together from the outset and decided if we were going to be involved, we wanted to be the best approved employer in the program. The reality is that we will never know that. There are no mechanisms to benchmark people or to compare, and perhaps there shouldn't be either. The success ultimately depends upon the individual relationships. We knew one thing for sure. We certainly didn't want labour hire companies, and I'm sorry if there's any in the room. We had an unfortunate experience way back in 2005 when we brought some skilled people from Vietnam. And as we said, employment is about relationships, and relationships, as Reverend has just told us, are built on respect. We lost all respect for that early labour hire company. I know it's 20 years ago, but it's left a lasting impression on us. They didn't treat their people with respect, and they didn't treat us with respect. And so we made a decision that we would never go down that path again. We went through all the steps to become an improved employer. We searched for quality accommodation. We planned induction programs, as well as facilitating a smooth transition for people, knowing that for many, it was their first time out of Tonga. I have to say, even with the best intentions, things do go wrong. In our first mobilisation, one person even failed to exit the airport. As it turned out, he'd contacted friends or relatives to pick him up from the airport, and we never got a chance to meet him. We were disappointed about that. It wasn't a good way to start the program. And I have to say, there probably is a very small cohort that will always exist, that always want to abuse the system, and we can't let the worst in the system ruin the opportunities for many, many others. And I should say we now have 193 Tongan nationals as part of our family. I want to talk through all the issues as it's a journey of our experiences, and I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And with all due respect to people in the room, I'm going to start with the ugliest one. Drugs. I have to say that we were surprised by the prevalence of the use of drugs in Tonga. We naively thought that being a relatively poor country and quite remote, there would be no drugs. We were wrong. We never considered that. Drug dealers, unfortunately, know no boundaries. And we have had multiple positive drug tests in all mobilisation cohorts. All have been counselled. Some have been very successful and changed their lifestyles, and we are so excited about that. And unfortunately, some people have run away. It's been a high priority. It was therefore a high priority for us to go to Tonga, believing that we could filter out some of the drug-exposed people early on. Wrong again. We were no better than the others you in sorting out those people. You just don't know. In the last 3 mobilisations, we've actually gone to Tonga and we've drug tested people in country. And yes, we have had positives, and unfortunately, those people have removed their right, or voided their right, to become part of PALM within our business. We haven't stopped them going around, we've kept it confidential. We believe in respecting the individual, but they're just not part of our system. Drugs are an insidious blight on the whole planet. They're certainly not Tonga specific, and I think more education needs to be done about the damage they're causing to human life, robbing good people of their chance to fulfil their potential. Australians often talk about mental health and domestic violence. Somehow deep down inside, I can't help but think perhaps drugs or alcohol are linked, and I think we need to look at the root cause. That's the ugliest one. We'll get better. Suitability is an overwhelming experience for people coming to work in Australia in an industrialised nation, doing long hours of physical work that they are not accustomed to. A simple fact is that not all people are suitable. Not everyone in this room could do what our team at home does. I consider myself a media industry professional, and that began with a career of 22 years working on a chain. Look at me now and you think, oh, I must say it's 25 years ago since I worked on a chain. But And I was a slaughterman. I was proud of that. And people would also ask me, what do you think, what's your real job? Because they didn't understand what a slaughterman did. I said, I was an industrial athlete. And you think about that. It requires persistence and stamina and high physical workload. It's not easy, and you get cut hands, and you wake up in the morning and can't pick up a cut because your fingers are sore. I've been there and lived that. I'm glad to say that ergonomics and automation have improved since my time of working on the physical chain. So just remember, not everyone can do it, but we're trying to find a spot for everybody. The third area I'd like to talk about is work versus career. It's important that people believe they're coming to Australia not for work, but for a career. And it can be a very rewarding career. It is even more rewarding if we make that paradigm shift early. Upskill as much as you can, and as early as you can. It sounds noble to say, I want to come to Australia to work and send money home for my family. And that is true, noble and humble. Work and money being the operative words. We believe, and we're not qualified to comment on Tongan culture, but we believe it is better to say, I want to embark on a career pathway that can change my life and for my family as well. It's a subtle wording change, but the resulting mindset can be powerful. I believe this program has changed lives. Fourth topic, long-term planning. Coming from a more, and I don't want to offend, casual-paced island lifestyle, and making the adjustment to a fast-paced, industrialised working environment also creates lifestyle changes for PALM team members. And it can even be the small, mundane things like keeping records, saving passwords, or logging onto details in online banking, or taxation purposes. It might not seem obvious for individuals at first, but future planning is important. Where do I keep my records? How do I access that? How do I build a history? In our opinion, the purpose of PALM, well, PALM scheme, I even hate that word scheme, because we're used as a verb, it can have negative connotations. Forget that. The purpose of the PALM scheme is to be beneficial to both sides. To Australia by supplying critical human resources, and for Pacific countries by upskilling their people, and in most cases remitting funds back home. You'll notice that I don't use the word labour either. We use human resources and people. Sometimes I think the use of the word labour commoditises people, but that's a personal view. Don't take notes on that. Many participants don't actively plan for their future beyond the deployment beyond their first deployment in the PALM program. It is common knowledge that the majority of wages earned by workers are remitted to the home country to cover the cost of immediate living expenses and housing and groceries, transport and education. I've lost count of the number of our team members that have brought their family home a car, and some have built them a house, and I think that's honourable. Sometimes I wonder whether they are going to look after themselves later in life, whether there is a savings plan. And that makes me think, are we really breaking the cycle? We don't want to erode any of the 4 pillars that Reverend Barker spoke about, but we also need to think that people can, if they work hard for 1, 2, 3, 4 deployments, that they can have some ability to fund their later years after their working life. Importantly, and I agree with everything that was said this morning, and I probably got it a bit wrong, but culture, and as I understand it, we put it a little bit differently, so I need to go home and practice. I really appreciated that intro. It's similar. Our guys talk about mutual respect. They talk about sharing, cooperating, and fulfilling mutual obligations. They talk about humility and generosity. And they talk about loyalty and commitment. I mean, it's just different wording for what's put up, it's very, very similar. These values are what we believe has made the involvement in Tonga and the PALM program so successful. It has been an outstanding success. We have found that the Tongan family are very receptive to a team environment. We're the only meat processor in Australia that runs what they call self-managed teams, so we are atypical to the rest of the industry. This has been evident that we now have 30% of our work group leaders and team leaders are Tongan. So we have 34 people out of 110 leadership positions are filled by Tongans, and I think that's amazing in just about a 2-year turnaround. Family bonds are strong and they're to be admired. I think Australians could learn a lot from our Tongan family about the strength and respect of family, as we could the Christian values displayed by our Tongan team members. In keeping with the core values of cooperation, humility, we often find that team members are hesitant to raise issues or report concerns promptly for fear of causing trouble or bothering the Pulangi. With this, we often later become aware that incidents have occurred only after they have been dealt with by other Tongan team members, and sometimes it is dealt with through shame or ostracisation. We know that there have been cases where team members have abandoned employment following internal discipline. I think that is something that not all policy makers know about or acknowledge, and that is about understanding the cultural nuances. It was only fitting that we opened it with that presentation this morning. This is not a criticism, but rather a lack of understanding by Australian policymakers and Australian employers. Sixth area, skills. We have no doubt that long-term placements allow for greater career development. If you look at trade and leadership skills, as I said, 84% of our PALM Tongan team members who have been employed nominally for 18 months have completed Certificate 2 in meat processing. Most nearly completed their Certificate 3. We have some even higher achievers, if you want to put it that way. Meat Standards Australia is a grading process that not many people can get through. I'm pleased to report that we have 16 members who are Meat Standards Australia qualified graders. Furthermore, we have another 16 members that are undertaking meat and livestock inspection, and they are then deployed in the plants, but overseen by the governments. They become Australian government authorised officers. If you think about that, Tongan nationals who are Australian government authorised officers after only 2 years in Australia, I think it's fantastic, and it gives them a sense of achievement. Looking at the other life skills, there is an ongoing challenge for some of the people, and I really like Reverend Baca's first words about 5 children, and you've got to learn how to communicate with them more differently. We've got some very high achievers that becoming Australian government officers. We have some other people that can't or won't get a Queensland driver's licence. We have basic health and nutrition skills lacking. Family planning is a bit of an issue. Basic budgeting and goal setting skills. But I do believe we are inching forward. Unplanned pregnancies are a major concern, with limited health insurances in the first year, as are sporting injuries, which limit income earning opportunities. We want people to be involved in the community. We want them to play sport, but if they get hurt, they're not covered. And for the sake of $6 a week, they can get sports insurance on top of the other insurance, but no one wants to waste the $6 a week, and yet they break a collarbone. So I think there's a bit of planning needs to happen there, and we're doing our best to do that. I'm also very, very pleased to say that we've been fortunately chosen as a pilot for the family accompaniment program. We have a couple working for us, and they brought their 3 beautiful children to Australia, who are now settled in local schools. Government interventions, by and large, have been well supported by both Tongan and Australian governments. MIA has been wonderful, and they've assisted our recruitment visits. I didn't expect to see Noah here today, but I saw one of the first people when I came in. Thanks to MIA, thanks to Noah. We're forever mindful of robbing you of your precious resources. We like to hire our own venues so it doesn't cost. But when we go to Vava'u, they insist we use the MIA office. So very, very grateful. We do take 5 people with us. I didn't know we'd get emotional about this, but we have quite invested. We do take 5 people with us to do our recruitment. I go myself with 3 Tongan team members, and we conduct interviews, and I really believe we are assisting Tongan people, but thank you very much to MIA. In Australia, our first recruitment went very smoothly with DFAT, but we have witnessed and believe we've added a layer of bureaucracy with DUA and with things like the Palm Portal. Slow response time to errors. I think we can improve there. We understand it's still a work in progress. I think Australia can do more to streamline the process. We can't speak for other Palm country participants, and I know today is about Tonga. We haven't had much experience. We did re-engage a small number of disengaged Solomon Island workers, and I've got to say that has been an outstanding success. We were disappointed when they left. We have also had a very small cohort of Fijian people, and somehow or other, the Fijian culture doesn't gel as well as the Tongan culture does with our company. And that might be a company relationship specific. And we shouldn't choose, but we've had great success with Tonga. The last topic I want to talk about is visas going forward. We would openly say that we have been very excited by the success of our Tongan Palm program. Our first mobilisation group will return home for the mandatory offshore period in July 26. We have already issued advice. We went to a bit of trouble we put out these advices. We don't expect people to take them. It's just an insight into Australian industrial systems. And we put out an advice. And of course, when people go home for 6 months, they will void their long service. We found out who wanted to stay, and all but one wanted to stay. One guy is going to USA to see his father, which is understandable, but every other person is staying. When we knew that, we then decided that we would extend their long service accumulations even over the 6 months they're away. That means that when they come back from the second mobilisation, they'll have accumulated long service leave, which will make their next journey home so much easier. And if you think about that, people go back to Tonga for 6 months and they get a regular wage, the same as if they were in Australia for the next 6 months. But it takes planning and it takes some holiday banking and things, but we've made that opportunity available to our Tongan team members. And I guess to that end, we'd like to investigate permanent residency visa options for those that want it in the future. I know it will take time. These are now highly skilled people. They are true industry professionals. That's ultimate success for us. Fulfilled professionals, earning capacity increased, still assisting their families back in Tonga, but also a little plan for themselves later in life. In closing, Palm has been a truly wonderful initiative for our business. We believe our Tongan members are happy and growing in knowledge at every level, every day. Our business is committed to doing what can make Palm a foundation pillar of our human resource needs going forward. Thank you for affording the time. I know I've run a little bit over time. And I wasn't going to say this, but I am deeply invested. On the 3rd of May, my son married a Tongan lady that came from his first husband. Thank you very much.
Put your hands here again, please, for Terry Nolan from Nolan Meats. Thank you, Terry, for sharing your learnings and your experiences there. And I think if I could just take away from that has been the co-learnings, both directions. So the workers coming here, learning about savings, learning about career, learning about thinking about the future, but vice versa, the influence of our Tongan workers with culture, rubbing off in a positive way on the culture of the company as well. So thank you very much for your presentation this morning. Before we move to our next presentation, the university has asked if the owner of the red car parked at the front of the building, blocking the entry, could please be moved immediately, and the blue car that's parked in the unauthorised reserve car park, if it also could be moved immediately. Kore atu mai whakapaapa, ka pau kua awa me lele lana kulakula o ko tau I he matapahu anga ki whareni. E ko me lele lana moana o ko tau I he reserve parking ka taki pe o unua ki ho me lele he whangamare wawetaha, e ko toa lele mai ai lori ke toho ho me lele, o hiri whake mai hafu ma moua, ma mawha au pito mo oni. So if you could move your vehicles would be good, otherwise the tow truck is on its way. Moving to our next presentation, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Fiona and Charlotte, owners of Gunnable Orchards in Gunnedah, New South Wales. Gunnable Orchards is a family-owned and operated citrus and beef cattle farm near Gunnedah in New South Wales. Owned by the Hoddle family, their farm produces high-quality citrus and premium grass-fed Angus beef. Alongside their citrus, they also breed and finish Angus cattle. The citrus orchard spans over 50 hectares, producing up to 1,800 tonnes per year. Can we put our hands together and give a warm camera welcome to Fiona and Charlotte, owners of Gunnable Orchards.
Hello, it's just me, Charlotte Little, speaking on behalf of our business today. Fiona's in the audience. Okay, thank you so much for having me today. Thank you to the Tongan government. Thank you to His Excellency Commissioner Curtis and other distinguished guests. It is a great honour, and I share the same passion as Terry Nolan. Thank you, I found your presentation so interesting, and I feel that this is so important that we share good news stories, because as we all know, the press loves to pick up the negative stories, and it's really disheartening for our business to hear that, and it's so important to share the positive stories today. So my name is Charlotte Hoddle. I manage our family farm in Gunnedah, New South Wales, and I'm biased to New South Wales beef. I think New South Wales beef is pretty good too, but it's always Queensland. So our family wasn't always a citrus farm. We were originally graziers and dryland cereal croppers. But our family decided to transition into citrus about 15 years ago. And as the trees grew, it became evident that Gunnedah is in a mining town, therefore cost of labour is extremely expensive. There's not other horticultural growers, so there's not seasonal workers coming through, and accommodation is extremely expensive. So we were one of the first users of the seasonal worker program, and we've been getting guys from Tonga almost since the beginning. So here's our team from last year. So we have a Petty, Viliami, Sione, and Sione in the front left has been coming to us for about 12 years. These guys were an exceptional team. We just simply could not do business without them. They work so hard, rain, hail or shine. They fulfill orders. Nothing's ever too big a problem for them. They're just the best. We really, really couldn't do our business without them. So, although picking oranges is listed as a non-skilled role, it's actually not true. I cannot do it. It is extremely labour intensive. The bags are very heavy. You have to go up and down ladders in the wet, in the cold, in the heat. And it's not for everyone, and the speed that they pick because of the strength that they have is just incredible. Each year we employ about between 6 and 10 guys, and we've been employing guys from the same family, and they recruit within their family. So we've had brother-in-laws, cousins, uncles, brothers come to join us. And so the palm scheme is hugely beneficial for our business. It ensures that we have a solid workforce. We don't have to retrain every year. The guys know where the tractors are parked, they know where the bins and trailers are. It's much safer because they understand our safety practices. In the past, we've employed locals, and we always try and employ locals, but sometimes they can only last half a day, 2 days. And backpackers might only last a few weeks, and then as it gets cold in Gunnedah, they want to go to Queensland and chase the sun, basically. It means that we can always ensure that we're meeting our delivery time frames, and it really has reduced our cost of training. Plus, they're just great guys to have on the farm. We're just so lucky to get to know them every year, and they're just, nothing's ever too big a drama, and yeah, we're just very lucky to have them as our workers. So as I said, fruit picking isn't for everyone. So this is Alexa Apu, showing how good he is at picking. So actually, I've listed that he'd been with us for 5 years, but he'd been working for us for over 10, Eliza. And the guys are so speedy. I just can't believe how quick they are at picking. So the other thing that which Terry touched on, and which anyone who's a palm scheme employer will know, that the palm scheme really benefits the workers, and not just the workers, their families. Terry said he's had countless stories of guys building houses for their family, and we hear this all the time. So we believe that the money made by our workers goes back to Tonga. So here's Holamatua Drive in Gunnedah, New South Wales, which I'll go into in a minute. So Gunnedah is the city to Holamatua, and here's Siosua and Sisefo at the opening. And Sisefo is now with us, hopefully going on to the 3-year more permanent palm. But it was such a proud day, and it was incredible for Gunnedah. So as I said, it benefits workers. So this is Izzy Kelly, and everyone knows these stories. Izzy Kelly wanted to buy a slasher last year. It was his first year in Australia, and he just hit the ground running, and it was absolutely fabulous. Here's my dad in Tonga, and I think if he was doing this speech, he would also be in tears, because he's so passionate about how much it's helped our business, and he loves Tonga so much, and so do I. we're so proud to employ Tongan workers. So we're so happy that it's meant that the money made from working in Australia is going back to strengthen ties between Australia and Tonga, and also providing high incomes back into Tonga. So this is a delegation of Gunnedah Shire Council and the Chamber of Commerce. So there was a visit from Gunnedah Shire, let me get my dates right, to Tonga with the Princess, and following this wonderful delegation where the Gunnedah Shire Council was surprised at an unveiling of the Gunnedah Avenue in Comatua, Gunnedah Shire signed a sister city agreement with Comatua, which is so exciting, and it's meant that the community of Tonga in Gunnedah has really grown, and it's really, really special. So, here's Comatua Drive. That's casual. And it's relationships like this that wouldn't be possible, in my opinion, without the Palm scheme. And it's really, really important that the relationship with Tonga and Australia continues to grow. And I really feel that the Palm is really key to that. So, a lot of you are approved employers, or so you know that you know what to do. So, but I would just look at your business and work out if this is the right solution for you. Speak to others in your industry if they've had success. I would recommend using a labour hire company at the start, just because there is a lot to get through and a lot of hurdles to jump through, just until you find your feet. But then if you can become an approved employer, it's fantastic, because then you have the relationship yourself. Understand your reward and visa requirements, and also use existing networks. So although we don't go over to Tonga to recruit, we use guys that are in our team and have come before to source really fantastic guys, and we have very rarely been disappointed. They've always been great guys, and we're so lucky to have them. The other thing is, which is Terry also touched on, is to provide good accommodation. So the guys live in this beautiful cottage on our house, on our farm. A couple of years they lived in town, they didn't like it because they couldn't make as much noise and entertain as much. So they have their own garden, and they're always laughing and singing, and it's just fantastic having them there. And also just have fun and enjoy, get to know them. The mutual respect is a big thing. We usually have morning tea every day, which each year we say, we don't have time to make the morning tea every day, but then we fall for how much they appreciate the cake. And it's also a good way of touching base with them to see how they're going. And we're trying to get more workers so the guys can have a few more days off during the week, because we know how hard they work, and it's nice for them to have a break. But they're just the best, and if you can have palm workers in your business and it works for you, I'd really recommend you do. So as I said, the guys are so willing and able to be trained. It's interesting, when we first started using palm, Tongan guys specifically, locals in Gunnedah would say, why don't you employ locals? We basically never get that question anymore, because people know how fantastic our team is. Our workers love it coming together, and I think that the Sister Cities thing has really made a huge difference, and that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, for your presentation today. And apart from showing about the great work of our Tongan workers on the Gunnable farm, I think that something really, really exciting has been the elevation from a bilateral perspective of the sister city arrangement that Charlotte was talking about there. And so in June 2022, a sister city arrangement was signed between the town of Kolomotua in the Kingdom of Tonga and Gunnedah in New South Wales. And then that was taken to another level in February 2025 with the commissioning of Kolomotua, I think it's Drive, in Gunnedah. And of course, there's also the Gunnedah Avenue in Kolomotua in Tonga. So we might see more cities moving forward doing something similar. Our next speaker who will be coming up today is Caroline Nakao, who is the Quality and Welfare Officer from the Costa Group. Now, Costa in Renmark in South Australia started off with a small group of 5 Tongan workers from Iloa. Through the hard work and dedication of these boys, the rest of our Costa farms have also tapped in and brought in their direct hires as well. Costa directly hires just short of 2,000 workers from all of the Pacific Island nations participating in the Pacific Australia Labour Mobility Program, with the majority being 30% Tongan workers, with over 600 workers predominantly working on our citrus farms in Renmark, Sunraysia and Emerald. The range of work includes fruit pickers, crew supervisors, tractor and forklift operators, packing shed operations from plant operations to box line workers, and our first Tongan woman to be in the harvest management team working specifically in harvest administration. Our Tongan pickers are by far the most productive. For example, minus the Tongans, the average worker picks 8 bins of oranges in 8 hours, but our Costa Tongan seasonal workers pick 13 to 15 bins on average. With the record sitting at 23 bins picked in an 8-hour day and held by our Tongan cohort leader, Te Vita Etiaki, who will be in attendance with his wife Losse later on at tonight's reception. So without any further ado, please let's welcome to the mic right now Caroline Nakao, who will be presenting on behalf of Costa Group. Give her a round of applause.
I'd like to pay my respects and acknowledgements to our Tongan High Commission, Curtis Dui Hawamie, and our beautiful distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to represent Costa Group Limited. Unfortunately, I was pretty much thrown under the bus to speak today. There are much more qualified people who will be in attendance tonight at the reception. If you have any questions about numbers and finances, unfortunately I can't disclose that information with you, but I would like to speak from personal experience of working with our boys in the grassroots on our farms. Okay, so just a quick introduction. My name is Caroline Solgai Paulson Nakao. I am also in attendance here with my husband, George Nakao. You'll see him in green as part of Curtis and their committee who have arranged the events for today and tonight. Okay. I don't have a fancy PowerPoint to present to you, but I am very grateful for this opportunity to represent our Tongan people in the Riverland region in South Australia. If people aren't aware of where we are about a 3-hour drive outside of Adelaide City and just an hour and a half over the border from Mildura. Our particular, the way Costa Group works, there's quite a few farms across Australia. We are situated in the Riverland region, specifically in Renmark, and we have about 6 to 7 farms out in the Riverland region, from Renmark to Loxton, throughout Myrtle as well. And we mainly focus on picking citrus, but we also do harvest persimmons and avocados. So our first, as Lave Iloa informed you all, we started off with just 5 Tongan boys from Iloa. And it was mainly Tongans until 2017, where we first invited our Fijian cohorts to join us, and in 2022 for our Samoan cohort as well. Actually, speaking of which, we have 95 of them arriving in the Riverland region today, and will be helping us throughout our citrus season for this year. My husband and I, we first joined the Costa Group in 2021 through our community connections in South Australia. We were invited by the Pacific Council of South Australia to assist with translating of our cohort from Tonga that arrived during COVID-19 in 2021. George was assisting border security at the front as the plane landed, and I was with SAPO, translating with SAPO and the army outside to help guide them onto the bus for the 3-hour journey. Of course, during COVID-19, it was a very confusing time for all of us. So when our cohort did arrive and during that time, it was very messy. But we were the pilot to isolate 8 in the cabin. I think before that, everyone was isolating in hotels in one room. Our cohort were the first ones to isolate in the Paringa resort cabins, 8 at a time. It was caged off to keep social distancing. But of course, when our Tongan cohort arrived in confusion and chaos, yes, there was a lot of passing cigarettes and lighters throughout the cages. So we were threatened by some government workers that if we don't get our boys into order, then they'll have to ship them back to the city to isolate in the hotels. So within 2 hours, we had our beautiful Tongan community help us. So I'm not too sure, some of our AE would be familiar with Rachel Famuna and her father Saya and her husband as well. Between the 5 of us, this was about 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. We had to go around to each cabin to explain to them about COVID-19, what's expected of them, and just to try and understand, because at that time there was no COVID-19 in Tonga. So they were coming in feeling very caged, very imprisoned. So I'm trying to explain to them that no, it's only temporary till they have to go out into the communities and into their accommodations. After we joined Costa Group Limited, I guess a lot of the success stories that come from our Tongan cohort is the productivity. And as Lave had mentioned earlier, there is nothing like the Tongan, as they say, iwi horsey. So they, yes, I'm sorry, but Tongans are matched. I may be a little biased here, but between the Tongan Samoans and Fijians, we had a very successful year last year, record-breaking year. We picked over 100,000 tons, 100,000 plus tons of citrus, and majority of that were Tongans as well. And this was just one little team of 27 Tongan seasonal warriors, and we managed to pick all the citrus on piece rate. Not once did our Tongan cohort go on hourly work. So this is a great achievement for us. And within our company, we get told that the productivity is better in Victoria in our branch in South Asia. But when you compare the numbers, trust me, my colleagues who are still on the plane coming for the reception tonight will be able to elaborate more on this. But our Tongan cohort definitely just exceed our expectations when it comes to productivity. And as a result, we were able to increase our numbers for this year. We also hold a cultural night every year. So since 2021, we introduced having a cultural night to celebrate not only our Tongan Costa warriors, but also our Costa Aina and our Costa Lave. So that's very exciting for us every year. We also get invited by the local communities to perform. So we have a Costa choir now. If you haven't seen them on social media, you're more than welcome to look up my TikTok. And they have quite a few performances there, so hopefully we'll be able to share that more with our Palm cohort. This year will be a very big and exciting cultural night for us, as we have we have invited quite a few people to join us out in Renmark in South Australia. I think Costa won't probably won't mind if I invited some of you who haven't been to South Australia. We'd love to have you out there. Anyways, thank you so much for this opportunity again. Hopefully we'll get more chance to talk later on. But yes, as they say back in the Riverland,
Thank you so much, Caroline Nakawa, representing Costa Group there. A quick announcement that the red car that I was alleviating to a little bit earlier is still outside, and now a silver car is also parked illegally at the entrance. Please, it's very important that we keep that access available for emergency vehicles, so I'd ask if anyone here is the owner of a silver vehicle or the owner of a red vehicle, if you kindly make sure that you move your vehicles. Ko rea mai whaapa ka paukuawa ne lele lano siriva, bewa me lele lano kurukula, ka taki peo noa ki ho me lele o ku ne lo tonga tau i tu he matapā huanga, peo ku tapu foki ke tau ai me lele ai I he taimini. We're going to move on now to our next speaker in this segment of the program, the Pacific Australia Labour Mobility Employers Experiences. And I'd like to invite up the front Pa Enari, who is the Culture and Welfare Officer for RWM. So Regional Workforce Management, or known by the acronym RWM, is proudly Australian owned, dedicated to connecting businesses with tailored recruitment and workforce management solutions since the year 2000. Formerly FIP Group, they've spent over 2 decades supporting the backbone of Australia, the food, agriculture, forestry and fishery industries. RWM is proud to be Australia's largest PALM scheme provider, strengthening communities and industries with a dedicated international workforce. The majority of Tongan workers who are recruited in meatwork industries in Australia are recruited by RWM. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a warm Samoan welcome to Pa Enari, the Culture and Welfare Officer from RWM.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. I realized this morning has been a very detailed morning and also very cold for us, Queensland. So I'm going to ask, I want to do an exercise. I'm going to ask you to join me just to help keep ourselves warm. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to please put your hands together. And when I say really, we rub our hands. And when I say Paxi, we clap. Can you do that? Really? Paxi! Not bad. Not bad. Can we do that again? We just need to pick up a bit of time from this end. Really? Paxi! Paxi! Now we're going to add a little flavor to that. And we're going to ask you to put your dominant hand and form such a shape with your other hand open. And I want to hear this sound. So when I say, oh, you want to make that sound. Could we do that? We're going to have a dominant hand up. Oh, oh. Have a listen to that. Have a listen to our pati first. Pati, that's a high note, yeah? Oh, it's a low sound, correct? So watch me. When I have my hand up, I want you to do a pati. When I have it down, I want you to do a oh. Could you have a look? Yeah? Follow me, please. And when I say hey, hey, I would like you to say ho. Yeah? Here we go. Hey, hey. Oh. Thank you. Halo, halo on top of me. Gisa Purvinaka, Maori. Talofa koutou, Omo Oran, Ola. Talofa lava, Maroi, and a very good morning to you all. Warm greetings to our esteemed leaders from governments, churches, communities, employers, workers, and our valued guests. My name is Pa Inari, and I serve as the Cultural Welfare Coordinator for RWM Group. It is an honor to stand before you today and to share some of our incredible journey we witnessed through our Palm Skin program. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land on which we gathered. I pay my respect to the elders, past and present, and I thank them for their continued leadership, cultural stewardship, and their generosity in welcoming Pacific workers to live, work, and contribute here in Australia. Today, I'm here to reflect on our experience with the Tongan cohorts involved in the PALM program. Stories that reflects not just labor, but growth, loyalty, and contribution. Many of our Tongan participants start out on the kill floor as a laborer. Over time, they build skills and confidence, advancing to specialist roles. From boning and sliding tables to loadouts and forklift operations. Some have taken on scheduling and shift coordination responsibility at various sites. This is upward mobility in action. These workers consistently demonstrate strength, endurance, reliability, whether in packing, boning, loadout, or general labor. They show up, stay the course, and take pride in their work. Their work ethic has not gone unnoticed. Employers often speak highly of their commitment, especially when it comes to staying back to complete shifts, to cover absentees, or to take on overtime. One of our workers in Wingham Meats was recently recognized at a health and well-being session for not missing a single day of work since joining the program 2022. Another individual, you'll hear from him later today, is referred to by a supervisor as Mr. Reliable. Someone who you can step into almost any station and ensure the day's production is completed. These are the kind of reputation being earned across Australia, and they reflect deeper truth of our workers and not just participants. They are contributors, teammates, and future leaders. Of course, we've encountered challenges. One of the most significant has been the financial literacy. Many of our workers have navigated the responsibility of supporting two households, one in their home country and one here in Australia. This is their first time in managing significant income as well. Balancing family expectation and financial obligation can be overwhelming. Early in the program, we saw varied results, but thanks to the mentoring from previous cohorts, including both successful stories and cautionary examples, we've seen major improvements. Many of our early participants have completed significant projects in their home countries, raised living standards for their families, and become role models for those who follow. The knowledge shared has been one of the program's quiet strength. It is not just for the economic empowerment. It's about building long-term resilience and wisdom in our communities. Looking forward, looking ahead, the Palm Scheme stands as a platform for real transformation, not just for individuals, but for communities, industries, and nations. We are witnessing a powerful evolution. Workers who came here with entry-level experience are now managing workforce, training others, be considered for long-term roles. Many are being offered subclass 482 visas, a skilled migration pathway that opens the door to long-term employment and eventually permanent residence. This isn't just policy at work. It's people building new lives. Children are joining schools. Families are being reunited. And back at home, we're seeing homes built, businesses launched, and the entire village uplifted by financial stability and visions of returning workers. What makes this program so valuable is that it creates a win-win. For workers, it's a chance to gain skills, earn fair wages, and build a future. For employers, it's access to reliable, loyal, trainable team members. For governments and communities, it's model of regional cooperation that strengthens ties and builds capacity across the Pacific region. As we move forward, let us not only continue to invest in labor, but in leadership. Let us not just the workers of today, but the emerging leaders, mentors, and citizens of tomorrow. We have an opportunity to shape this program into a legacy of shared prosperity, where the Pacific workers are not only valued for their hands, but respected for their minds, hearts, and commitment. In closing, to all stakeholders here today, government officials, employers, community leaders, I thank you. I thank you for supporting the program, for believing in the potential of our people, and for helping create pathways that are lifting lives. The PALM scheme is not just working, it's growing. It's changing lives. And we will feel continued support. The best is yet to come. Malo Pito, Inaka Vikulevu, of Taite Lava. God bless and thank you.
Thank you so much, Pa Enaran, who is the Culture and Welfare Officer there for WN. We really appreciate you sharing your experiences and coming all the way down from Queensland to be with us here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in our program now, we do move to a very short tea break. It's tea break time to stretch the legs and so forth. So I do emphasize it's 10 minutes, so it's 10:46 on my clock. So if we can be back here in approximately 10 minutes. A reminder, if you came in a little bit later, that the restrooms are located on the floor I'm standing on. You can access this by coming down the stairs and going through either side of the auditorium, or option 2 is through the lift upstairs to the restroom. There's also tea and coffee facilities available upstairs. We will be back in 10 minutes.